Okay, cool. So, how to rapidly find and solve big problems in your business using EQ system. In business, numbers is your biggest ally, assumption is the enemy. And that's what a lot of businesses or business owners do when their business is going down the drain. They start assuming things. They, kind of like with their heads on fire, they start doing things per their feelings, assumptions, or what other people tell them. Including their consultants, which is still wrong. You always want to navigate by data. Now, with enough time, any business starts getting leaking holes. And again, our biggest objective as business owners is to seal them ASAP. And it's a difficult thing. And lack of organization and emotions or being emotional are the biggest problems in business, because business owners are, people, just like me and you and everyone in this room, right? And you know how there's usually when people get diagnosed with a terminal disease, there's 5 steps of grief. I call it the 5 steps of business owner's grief. What happens when your business starts going down the drain? Number 1, denial. Nazim, just up the advertising budget. We're gonna just smash through this, no problem. Just keep it up. Then, when after a week or two, they check in and the business is still bad. It becomes like they get angry, they get infuriated. It's like they start lashing out on employees. They say, "Oh, it's your There's who's wrong? Who's at fault here, right?" And I experienced quite severe anger emotions from business owners. People literally who would be making millions every month, and then you lose a bit of money, and it's just this entitlement, this cannot be happening to me. What the when you get the taste of sweet life, and things go a bit south, again, you get a bit privileged, right? So comes anger, then comes bargaining. They start chaotically, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's the other thing. They start chaotically, throwing spaghetti and shit at the wall, seeing what's gonna try to stick, But it's like, this should have been done a long time ago, and it should never be throwing things at the wall. You should know exactly what's happening, and that you need to track before even the the storm begins. Then comes depression, and then acceptance, which is screw it, I'm out, or this was fun while it lasted. Thanks for the cheese, see us later. So basically, why it happens? In a nutshell, there's no tracking. There's no accountability going on a continuous basis with business owners. And you can't fight the enemy you can't see. That's the most important thing, tracking. No historical timeline. If you're not tracking and you're not doing it on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, you don't know when things went south. And if you don't know when things went south, how can you know where you can start? And obviously the third problem, which is the outcome, which is chaotic, throwing shit at the wall, and because you don't know, it's like playing the game of piñata. They they blindfold you, and then you just go trying to hit the target, but it almost never works. Or you waste so much energy trying to do that, and your energy in business is your emotions, your energy. Your employees trust in you. It's your advertising budget that you burn through like maniac, trying new advertising systems, which you could have avoided that if you did this. Track your KPIs at all times on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You should already know what to do and what's going on before it even gets bad, right? And with proper tracking, you'll be able to pinpoint most problematic spots. And I promise you, it's never more than 1 or 2 things. Trust me, I've seen businesses that seem to be like the biggest mess, and then it's like sales managers having a breakdown, and that's why sales suffer, and the entire company is in shambles, or an ad account gets disabled, or something else. Because it's usually down to one thing. It can be employees, it can be a specific department, but it's never that the entire company melts down. Very, very rarely. It's usually down to 1 or 2 things. It's easy, but it also makes it very difficult, because it's like if you're not tracking it, then it's like trying to find a needle in a stack of hay. It's very difficult if you haven't been tracking it. And then, but if you know how to track it, you can quickly pinpoint it, create a strategy around it, and go to work. Now, I call the system the Equalizer System, and here's why. This is a healthy business, right? All of your business vitals, all of your KPIs are lined up in a perfectly straight line. To tell you, truth, it's never like this, right? So these knobs are a bit like this, a little bit. But generally speaking, you want to line them up in an equilibrium.
It's a bit boring like that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, how about that,
And
this,
yeah. The base of the soul.
well, yeah, this is when, they call me. So like, hey, what the hell is happening? And you don't want this in your business because then the sound gets skewed, right? Your business gets skewed. Now, guys, I know it's been a lot of talking, right? I prepared like a couple of very simple sheets for you to just show you like my thinking process. A very simple process because, like I told you, there's leads, acquisitions, and sales. 3 parts. Each one of these sheets has a separate sheet, and I can dive into them later if you have interest, because we have an ads tracking sheet, we have a funnels tracking sheet, we have a sales tracking sheet. But basically, in a nutshell, this is basically your online numbers in an online business, and the most important numbers are these two. Everything starts here with these 2 numbers, and the reason it starts here is because this number is going to dictate how much you can invest on investing into one sale, right? And the more you can spend, the more you can outbid your competitors, and the better, more dominant presence you're gonna have online. But you can't spend much here if you're not increasing your average client lifetime value here. And this is a part of the first presentation. That's why I'm saying everything is intertwined. If this is $5,000, you can't spend 2,000. If this is 10,000, you can spend 2,000. Hell, you can spend 4,000 or 5,000 if you want, and you'll outbid the fuck out of your competitors, right? So it's really important to dial in the offer, and then this is gonna give you a much bigger leeway to then slack off, invest more, splurge out a little bit more on advertising, right? And this entire process for any advertising endeavor, or actually even marketing endeavor, where you're invested to expected to invest in ads or human resources, virtual assistants or whatever, starts by figuring out how much am I making at the end of the day per client. Then I usually recommend to invest at least 25% of that amount into acquiring new clients, because if you don't acquire new clients at all, your business stalls, and you don't want that, right? It varies from industry to industry, because in e-com, I bet it's not 25%. With ads, it's actually way more than that. I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80. If ads is actually the biggest investing element in e-com industry. From what I've heard, I'm not really too big on e-com. But a great thing with selling services is that you can still invest a good amount. Because you're selling information, you're selling knowledge, so you don't really have that much of a crazy overhead, where you have to invest into cost of production and maintenance and stuff like that. You're just selling your knowledge, right? Or an info product, so you can go actually pretty crazy with this. But let's say I'm selling a consulting package for 10K, and I say 2K is like the maximum I can invest, because once I go above 2K, it starts eating away at my profits, and that's bad, right? Then we start actually the entire tracking. Now, again, guys, this it's funny because I've literally used this with companies that make like $1, $2, $3 million a month, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's too simple." I'm like, it doesn't have to be fucking hard. Because you guys are running a very simple operation. You get leads, you convert them into sales calls, and then you close sales. If this is so simple, difficult, how come you don't even have something as simple as this? And this shit shows the entire picture. It's ingenious, but it's great because let's say this is September, October, November, right? And these sales are conditionally formatted. to match this number. So, and like any business, a locus or a consulting service, a freelance, like any business needs to have this kind of like very simple tracking sheet, which I can share with you in the WhatsApp group. But it's like super easy because once this number surpasses $2,000, this goes red. If it's below $2,000, it's green, and that's it. This is green. You have nothing to worry about. This is red. Okay, it actually grabs your attention. You need to see numbers to actually react in the right time, because like our brain, I don't know what part of it, likes to postpone dealing with problems and solving them. And seeing this stuff, simple, but very straight to the point, is very helpful. So let's take this example, right? Let's take this example. We're seeing that here we're going over our goal cost per sale. Okay, so this should ring us the bell to keep moving to the left. Kind of like the way this thing works, it works a bit in reverse, where the logic is reverse engineering numbers, right? Like, okay, how much I need to make, how much do I sell it for, how many sales I need, how many sales calls I need, how many leads I need to get one sales call, how many clicks I need to get one lead. It goes like that, like a matryoshka, like the Russian doll. It goes boom, 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 goes smaller and smaller with each time. And by looking at this number, and also an important element, these percentage points especially, and cost and C points, which stands for cost for something, and percentage points, they all have their own benchmarks as well. Which, I mean, going back to Rodek's question, how do you figure that out? Again, by competition research, by talking with other marketers. That's a great one, because sometimes business owners don't even know this stuff. Like, marketers are a good source of reference, but also your experience as well. Because, for example, in the coaching consulting industry, I know that the close rate should be at least 20%. That's what I expect from my clients. And once it goes below that, you don't have to go like with your head on fire trying to figure out what the hell's happening. It's here. It's like your close rate is 13%. You don't need to spend extra. I mean, okay, in this case, like ads is also pretty shit, but like a lot of times, like these can be completely green. And this is the problem. So you don't have to even go talk to your marketing manager. Just go and talk to your sales manager, and that's it. And then, from here, you actually dive into the sales tracking sheet, which is like kind of like this is macro level and goes into micro level. And from there, you can even go further to individual sales people stats. I remember this client I had, actually probably my biggest case study. Like, she was banging. She was like making crazy money until for like 2 months, we had the worst slump in revenue, basically. And then it turned out like the top sales rep who was getting like 50% of the calls. His mother was diagnosed with diabetes, and then he went to like I swear to God, I'm not joking. And then he was diagnosed with hypertension, and then he was kind of like rethinking, that life is short. I might get the same. And she didn't have diabetes. She had a stroke or something because of hypertension. And he was diagnosed with the same thing. So he's basically rethinking his own life, and then and completely screwing up sales calls. Understandably, the guy's going through a crisis in life. But then this kind of like throws the entire organization off balance. And we're thinking that it's like end of the world. No, it's just one guy. If you dig deep enough, you will find it. This is why it's important to track numbers and stats. Not just for macro, but also for micro stuff and for people.
So there's a question. So let's say I've got 500 clicks, but I'm getting no actual request for a call. It's probably because my website is shit, for example. Or the offer is shit.
It's going to show in your funnel.
Yeah, exactly. So the funnel is not working. Okay.
It's very simple.
That's kind of like a similar question I had. What is the differentiation that you're making between leads and acquisition?
Yeah, that's a good point. So leads is basically leads into your funnel. Maybe this actually... No, I'll explain you. Yeah, that's a good point. No, that's a good point.
And actually, I have a question related to Julio's question. Could you tell us a bit more about debugging the whole process? Because for example, there is something, for example, when we have like clicks and we don't have like sales or even leads. it
That's
can
a great
be, like,
question.
Ads.
Man,
That can be
I wish I was here for 4 or 5 hours. Sorry, we could just engage in an interesting discussion. I can make more presentations with specific client case studies. I can actually show you, maybe go to some landing pages and show you some things we changed. But yes, point taken. But going back to whose question that was, your question. Look, so this is basically this represents a standard funnel, right? Where here you offer something like a free guide, then here that free guide needs to convert them into a booked sales appointment, and here is where you convert that booked sales appointment into an actual sale. It's very simple, right? So here, I mean, again, and now I'm going into micro kind of stuff, because CPL, which stands for cost per lead, and lead is a free registration to a free ebook or whatever, also has 2 markup points, which is the cost per click, but then also landing page conversion rate. So this can be high at $36 because you're either cost per click went up, and it's almost always because your ads suck, you need to come up with creatives, or because your landing page conversion rate went down, which then you need to tweak your landing page. I guess that's the part of the debugging that you asked about, or at least one aspect of it. But yeah, so does that make sense? Yeah. So let's look at this example, which is like super crazy, right? This is super crazy, right? Like 5,600. Like what happened here? We see that the close rate is down. But most importantly, sorry, actually no. So this is second line. We see that close rate is down, yes. Funnel's okay, but $36. What the hell happened there? Let's figure it out. So you don't talk to you don't have to talk to this guy, although it's good, because the performance is down by like 35-40%, as much as this guy, where CPL is supposed to be $10 and it went up by 300 something %. See, and then now we're talking about like the level of importances, and you know here. So it's that simple. I mean, and like I swear to God, let's say, right? You also have to, like, obviously you don't have a lead magnet here, right? But maybe you're running ads, or maybe you are. This can be true for anything. Maybe you have some sort of partnership for flyers, where you pay for flyers, or you pay businesses to have flyers in there, and it's still like it's how much you invest into flyers, and how many restaurants or how many whatever hotels have your flyers, and how many leads each hotel or each location point brings, you know.
We don't have to go so much offline. We still have Google Ads as well.
There you go. Okay.
You offer like a book or like to book a tour of the place, right?
We offer a free day. Free day to come and try it out.
So
A simple funnel could be for you guys is like to create a nice video, post it on Facebook, and then it leads them to a very simple registration page with a calendar where they can book. You accept an appointment. Now you say, I need 10 viewings on average to get 1 member, and per 1 member I make in the next 6 months, which is, I mean, is good for cash flow. You know, don't want to go above that. I make $500. So realistically speaking, and you have to obviously look at the last 6 months worth of data. So I can, and then you're like, okay, $500 is what I make. What's my overhead cost of servicing this 1 person? Factoring in the rent of the place, employees, tax and stuff like that. And you say I can do $100, and then that means $100 is what you got to book 10 viewings, and it's $10 per viewing. And then you can go even more granular. How many clicks on my landing page it takes to get 1 appointment? 3. So I can pay only $3 per click with a 33% conversion rate, which equals to $10 per viewing. Like it's like I told you, it's like these sound knobs that you keep tweaking. But if you don't know your numbers, like it's not gonna work. Like you're done. If you don't know your numbers, like it's already game over. You know.
Just quickly running through a scenario like kind of like an e-com, you would have then, let's say the lead could be your ad, the acquisition would be the person actually visiting your page, like would
Add
you
to cart.
consider that add to cart? Yeah, okay, so that's the moment you
Yeah.
consider that there is some.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And guys, again, in terms of e-com, always, this is your best friend. Man, if you can push this up, if you can make them buy $20 instead of, $40 worth of goods instead of 20, you go fucking lazy here. You don't care. Like, you have so much leeway. You can be lazy and pay $4 cost per click instead of 2. You don't have to, but you can. You know what I mean? It's like, I think you own a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Cool. So, a chili,
Philly cheesesteak.
Philly cheesesteak. There you go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in your case, for example, if you can run Facebook ads, right? I mean, would have to think about like how a funnel for a restaurant works. You know, I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, your best shot is to first create like a nice video of the restaurant, but then like, do you send them to a reservation page, or you know something like that, and then you do have to do the same math, like how much you make per customer, right, or per single person who dines in at your place, and then kind of like take that number and let's see how much you can invest into advertising, and then see, because sometimes it doesn't even make sense to go on Facebook or do paid advertising, you know, or you can improve. Yeah, with restaurants it's a bit tricky because if you up your price, you can't go from pricing to $1,200 to like $28. You can't double your prices, you know, and then do a value-based price. And I have one more document here. Just I want to quickly run through. And going back to your guys' questions. So I'm gonna break down these a little bit as well. But this is like a light breakdown, and I can go way deeper in the future. But basically, it's like, what are the components of each element? With leads, it's ad quality landing page. I already told you that. With CPL, okay? Then with acquisitions and CPA, and I have 3 numbers: cost per lead, cost per acquisition, cost per sale, right? A lead is a free lead, an acquisition is usually a sales call booked, and then an acquisition is someone who actually paid you money. That's it. That's done, right? And lead is an ad quality and a landing page, because you pay clicks and you who then convert on landing pages, and those go up and down.
Question, I guess these costs are compounding like in time. I mean, like you start with the cost per lead, and then to find out your cost per acquisition, you have to also take into account your cost per lead plus whatever.
Yeah,
cost
your
you-
reverse engineer numbers.
And then the sales also,
Yeah.
you add some
Yeah.
amount of that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something specific about this one. When you went on the chart before, you were talking about the booking system, for instance. So in the acquisition, would you only count the people who actually showed up for the call, or who actually booked the call? Because
That's a
there is
great-
drop-off rate.
That's a great question, and it's a part of the micro sales tracking, right? Where you track. I mean, I usually, to be honest with you, track what we got in. That's it. But then we can go deeper and say like cost per call attended, which actually like cost per call attended can also be improved by sending out more frequent reminders and stuff, hyping them up a little bit more. And acquisition CPA is the funnel conversion rate and funnel consumption rate. Guys, we're kind of like short on time, so I'm not gonna go too deep. But it's like basically how well your funnel converts and how well people actually stay around until the end of the funnel, where the pitch happens, right? So if they need to stay until the end, and the pitch needs to be good enough that they book a sales call. Then the sales is basically, you need to make sure you do your tracking. You work on your sales call attendance, which I haven't added here, funny enough, and close rate. You need to close well. And customer lifetime value is, like I said, product, ascension, and upsells.
Ascension.
Yeah, and upsells. But that's like another topic that we can talk about. But it mostly comes to packaging your front end products. Well, I mean, pretty much every product you have. But then also, and this is actually the most important thing I haven't talked about. Like, this is the most important thing that's gonna make this thing goes sky high, which is upselling, which is not just like they come to that like gyms are gods at upselling. They say, hey, come for a free membership or whatever, or you stay there for a month, and then they try to sell you on a year-long deal with the best discount they'll throw at you, because they know that then they lock you in for a very nice fat kind of like what do you say amount? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they're caught.
I would actually say women are the best at upselling. You go for one dinner and boom, kids.
Yeah. You know, yeah. I can't say much because it's recording. But, you know. But anyways, that's it. Like I said, I could
continuity program.
Yeah, we could actually go and next time and actually like I could like show you very specific examples.
Okay, to a question. How much do you charge clients?
Yeah.
This is my, I'm not gonna tell you that. So another cheeky question. So, why wouldn't you invest that money on hiring another salesperson instead of doing the funnel and everything?
And that's a part of organic, because this doesn't have to be. That's a great question, because this sheet, like I said, guys, is not just for online business. It can be for a sales rep as well. It's very simple. Then these columns merge. You just have general kind of like marketing costs, and then you have amount spent per sales rep, how many appointments they're booking, how many of those appointments realize into actual deals closed, and that's it. Like this is just like for me, like I'm just like it's like for me like what I'm off. For me I'm showing you a concept, a way to think. You know, like
even for organic